What's happening, friends of XWFM 99.9? Welcome to the Page and Pryce show. Pryce, what's happening, buddy?
Not much, man. Am I Laverne or am I Shirley in this little doo-wop?
You can take whichever. I'll take the other. It doesn't matter. I had to put a smile on some faces, or tried to with that one off air. I was like, if this doesn't pop you, nothing will. Did you giggle?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's not at all where I would expect anyone to go with something like that. So that works.
Yeah, I'm trying to put a smile on my face. It's been a rough weekend, and I'm ready to try and start moving forward a little bit. This is the second show I've done since Tater Tot was had to be put down, and I didn't think I was going to make it through. Well, it's the third show. I did two last night, and but yeah, we're here, and everyone's getting a little bit easier, and I'm ready to rock and roll, man. I got the big boy on the bed in front of me, and he's ready to listen and fall asleep, and we'll see where this goes because we don't really have a format.
No, we don't. We spent weeks talking about doing a show and then really just never came up with anything. I think you and I just kind of had talked off air a little bit, and I think we both kind of agree that when we shoot off the cuff, it's probably some of our better stuff rather than trying to force any kind of specific topic or discussion. So yeah, we'll just we'll shoot the shit and see how it goes.
Well, obviously, first thing I want to talk about is the CCPE versus the World event that was last night. Extensive purposes. We're recording on a Monday morning around 9:15, and this will go out this evening. But such a great turnout for the event and across the board. I can't think of. Well, I'll tell you this. The one thing that I wish was different, and I put this out in my group chat this morning, was it's so fucking hard to write a glorified handicap match like that, and to see that so many matches on the card were separated literally by just like a half of a point or a quarter of a point to make a difference. It tells me that the show was booked correctly because every match was really tight. And huge shout out to Bam and Jason Cashe. They pretty much had the match of the night. Role play wise, a lot of the judges, or all the judges, had nothing but nice things to say about them and their work. So it was a huge fucking event.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who was fortunate enough to be part of it as a judge, I always love reading other people's work. Folks that are not in XWF and getting that first time to read their stuff. For those that are in the XWF, I'm always proud when they show out. And do well. And, everyone who role played, I think there was only two people who didn't. Fuck you, Sent. I was really impressed with the work. I mean, top to bottom, like you said, it's tough because that final match, I mean, it was what, 8-on-3 or something like that. And so like, it looks like a beating, but at the same time, all of the matches were really, really close. So, and that's kind of a shame that the end worked out that way because so many people did so well. But I mean, it's just the luck of the draw, but yeah, I mean, there were no truly one-sided matches in that. Like every match I judged, it was maybe 2 points was the biggest gap, if that. And even that was kind of rare. It was more on the 1.5 points kind of separation. Obviously Jason Cashe is somebody that my character is closely associated with. So I was happy to see him get that win. I love working with Bam. Him and Cashe, they really did. They put out some great work. And, I had said to you off air, I was a little hesitant with what they were doing, like when they had talked to me about it and mentioned what their plan was, just because I immediately thought of all the ways where that could go wrong. And I didn't want that to happen for either of them because I know that they were really, really keen on doing this and had this really great idea. I was just worried about how it could go, and not because I questioned their ability to execute, but when you're facing each other and you're working on collabs together, that's not something that is common. I don't know many people that do that. for obvious reasons. But I thought what they did was fantastic. I thought it read really well. I thought both pieces flowed really well. All in all, I was genuinely surprised at how great that execution came together. So yeah, I would agree. I would say it was probably the match of the night, given the history of the characters, given how they role played. But all in all, everybody truly did a fantastic job. There was nobody whose role play I read and I was like, maybe not your best work. I thought everyone did a great job.
Before we move on from Cashe and Bam, I do want to say this because I'll echo the sentiment. Bam had come to me and with the idea for their pieces, and I was like, man, I'm going to support you, but are you sure? And both of the pieces exceeded my expectations. I do want to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed the Bam Cashe program. I thought that they really told a good story between two characters, and while it may not have been for a strap, there was a lot of good shit from beginning, middle to end. And I do want to make a private, or not necessarily private because we're on the air, but I do want to throw a shout out to Goth, who this was one that I was supposed to do on Saturday, and I couldn't. I literally took me almost 6 hours to write 3,000 words for a role play. But he stepped in and took this and delivered as far as on the match writing itself. I couldn't have been happier with it. I feel like both of those cats came out of this way better than they did going in, if this is indeed the blow-off to it. I thought they did tremendous work. Someone else that on this card that I thought just delivered. I've always wanted to work with Keto. You and I have talked about this off air many times, even when he came back or first came to the Fed when I was still kind of active. This was the first time that he and I got to square off and write against each other, and I'm going to tell you, like, my asshole was puckering.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very talented writer, and I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself to do well, which, I mean, if that's what helps you get your stuff done, great. He is somebody who is always going to give you 150% no matter what. And I thought you guys both, did really, really great work. I hope this isn't the last time you guys face each other, because I definitely think, to use a Chris Page phrase, I think there's more meat on the bone for this, and for you two guys. But I thought this was a really great matchup, and with the whole Saga CCPE thing kind of coming down the road, I think there's definitely opportunity for that. But yeah, I thought it was great stuff. I really did. I enjoyed it.
Well, I can answer that question, and keep in mind, Keto, we haven't talked this morning. He tweeted out earlier today, I do not like this outcome at all, especially when it was so very close. But all I can say is this is not over yet. My retweet was, we're not done. As a matter of fact, we're just getting started. Take last night as a lesson that this old dog has the fight of a young lion. That should answer that. In no form or fashion does this end here. And this is all out of character, folks. This is not an in-character program. I definitely want to continue on something with him, because I think there's a lot there that could be told. And it's one thing to do a one-off at a super show, and the scores have been publicized. That was very tight. Like, it was right up there with Bam and Cashe as far as how it could have went either way. To me, in character, it's a win, but with just how close that shit was, yeah, we definitely got to run that back, and we got to figure out a story and actually get a good story together, and we need to do that in the XWF, because the way I see it is Rian was representing the XWF, so if we're going to do something else, it needs to be in the XWF. That's the way that you give back. And I think that needs to happen down the line. Keto's tremendous. I've loved his work. I think when I was writing that I had to be on par, and the only way to be on par was to tell a better story, essentially. So I had to figure out what could I go off of, and I saw Bam shit, and I was like, well, there we go. And at the end of the day, I have nothing but respect for Keto's abilities, man, because he's a fucking warrior.
He is. He's a fantastic writer. It's always good when somebody new can kind of show up and kind of become a face of a federation. And I know, XWF has guys like Peter Vaughn and Mark Flynn, who everyone knows. But I think Keto is kind of that guy that everyone associates with the XWF, and that's probably because he's not wrestling other places like Vaughn and Flynn are, which is not a shot at them. I mean, do your thing and write however much you can, as many places you can. But Keto is very much a representation of us as a Fed, not just as a in character, but out of character. I don't think anyone has a negative thing they could possibly say about the guy. So it was great. I know he's going to be disappointed that he lost, but I hope he's not disappointed in the work he did, because it's not like he shit the bed. He did fantastic work, and sometimes even your best just isn't good enough. Sometimes the other guy just does a little bit better, and that's okay. It's you're a fantastic writer as well. So losing to Chris Page is not something that anybody should be ashamed of, ever, no matter who it is.
I'm gonna fucking quote you for that.
Well, fair. I'll never say it again, but it's true. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes and what can be done with it and how it can be built off of.
There's a lot of things happening. Also, the XWF had Buster Gloves, who did advance to the finals. I mean, I'm not going to speak on the hows and the whys, but he put up a solid piece. He got the win. He advanced. You touched on Mark Flynn and Peter Vaughn. They both had some pretty mean competition with Cable and James Raven. Xavier Lux was there from XWF Ties, was taking on Jack Sullivan. There was a lot of reps from XW on board, and I think a part of that is because these cats within CCPE, most of them travel and they go all over the place, and to see more representation come out of the XWF than any other Fed, and I'm not counting the WGWF at all. I see that. To me, that makes me feel good, because whether I have the WGWF or not, role play wise, I feel like XW's kind of my home, is that's where, towards the latter part of my career, I found a lot of success. So it's good to see the representation and everyone out there busting their ass and putting up some really good work.
Yeah, truly. I mean, it really was. It was a fantastic event, top to bottom. I hope you're as happy with it as I think the people who took part of it were. I think it was a really cool concept, and hopefully people can kind of take some of what was done here and build off of it in whatever feds that they're in, and I think that would be awesome. I think that's always kind of the ideal. For me, that's the ideal. Super shows oftentimes have one-off matches, but if they can ever spawn something, I think that's a really cool thing. So hopefully that happens.
Well, you do have a saga brewing in the mix somewhere, so we'll see. I'm interested to see where all that goes. From one pay-per-view to another, XW's got Snow Job on Sunday. I mean, we're 6 days out from your first big event of the year, which you've got Flynn and Vaughn on top there for the uni. Talk about a ball-buster main event to kick off your year with.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool, and I'm really excited because you have the former uni champ Vaughn against Mark Flynn, the current champ, two CCPE guys, and I kind of think them facing each other kind of highlights what CCP is in terms of it's not a faction per se, it's more of a loose alliance, but these guys are competitors, and they can put whatever alliances or feelings they have aside to compete for the top title in the Fed. And both of them are fantastic writers. Love reading, both of their works. I'm really excited to see how this match kind of shakes out. I've enjoyed the build up that they've put together. Both of them are really great in terms of segments and kind of keeping you engaged and you wanting to read more and kind of waiting for the next thing to drop to see how the story progresses. So all in all, I mean, I'm really excited for that match. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think top to bottom, we have some really, really good matches. All the all the title matches are fantastic. And even some of the non-titles I think are really interesting and have some really cool matchups.
Well, here's what I like about Flynn Vaughn. Arguably, and this is no verbal fellatio because they're involved in CCPE or in my product, in your product. This is the truth, and kind of has been for a hot little minute. These two guys are arguably two of the best writers in the game right now. Flynn has been on this ascension since he came back in 2021, I think. Isn't that when he came back to take on Thad?
I have lost all
He's been back a
perspective.
year, so it was 2021. It was relentless
It's been
2021.
a bit. I mean, it's definitely been his longest consecutive run. He's been, in and out a couple times. But I think this is the longest he's ever been here in a contiguous, I don't know if I'm using that word right or if I just made up a word, I'm not really sure, fashion. So yeah, and he's, in a way, he's kind of worked from the bottom. Even though when he came back, he had won titles previously, he didn't just kind of jump to the front of the line. I mean, he really worked his way up and had a really fantastic tag team title run with, his two characters, Mark Flynn and North Korean war criminal. So as a Flynn Mark, I've been really excited that I was able to be around to see his ascension because, the day I showed up in XWF, I felt like he was one of those guys who was capable of being the guy. So it's great to see that he's finally gotten that moment and he's so far, knocked it out of the park. But this is a real big test for him because Peter Vaughn is, a fantastic writer. I think, he's always done really great work, but I think when he came to the XWF is really when he kind of stepped his game up to another level. I don't think it had anything to do with us. I think it's just he showed up and, realized that he had some real great competition to face if he wanted to be the guy. And he took that opportunity, made something of it, and now he's getting another chance to get a shot at the title.
Do you know what I think the stigma with Vaughn is? Completely out of character writing side of the equation. It came. I'm not to be a douchebag or anything, but it came from like 2,000 to 2,500 words, and I don't think people thought that he was a length writer and a quality length writer at that. So I think when he popped into XW and there was the unlimited format that. I mean, I think his eyes got fucking huge and off to the races he went. And he was able to get into his element. And I think that was a big misconception, as people might have looked past Vaughn because he was writing at a lower word count. But over the last year or so, dude has got some serious chops. And not only can he go length, he can go length and keep it entertaining. And Flynn's the same way. So this is a very, very good contrast in style. Writing-wise, they're both very similar. When they want to lean on the comedy, they knock that shit out of the park. I'm all for this. This is going to be one rock-solid main event to kick off the year for the XWF on pay-per-view. And you're right. You're 100% correct. The undercard is solid. Jenny Mist is defending the Extreme Championship. Is this her fifth and final?
No, so the way we kind of changed it up last year as the end of the year kind of came about. Well, actually, we changed it a little earlier, as opposed to having previously it was X number of defenses and X amount of time. Now we've changed it to you have to defend a certain number of times on each program. So now it's just Warfare as opposed to Warfare and Savage. You have to do, we call it the Extreme Title Tour. So you have to defend it 3 times, I believe, on Warfare, once on Anarchy, and twice on pay-per-view. So far, I believe she has 2 successful defenses. I could be wrong, and if I am, Jenny, if you hear this, correct me, please, so we give you credit where you should. But I believe he's got 1 on Warfare and 1 pay-per-view defense. So if he gets this one done, then he's only got 1 Anarchy and 1 or 2 Warfares to go. But I mean, this is gonna be a tough one for him because Isaiah King, former TV champ, is really, really good. And Goth is also really, really good, as we just saw with the CCPE event. So this is not going to be a walk in the park for Jenny at all.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the beast in the background.
Just saying hello.
Yeah, man, he's doing his thing. Let's chat about both of these cats. I want to talk about them both because you and I have had conversations off air. I am very impressed with Isaiah King. You kind of dropped the dime on who the character previously handled, or the handler previously handled. And while I didn't see a lot of the work, the name is residual to me. And I think it's a large part to Robert Main, because I think Main would talk about him all the time. And I've seen some of the work, but seen a lot of the Isaiah King work. And dude, I mean, this guy's got, you can build around this cat.
Yeah, absolutely. So he used to handle Danny Imperial back in 2020, 2021, maybe. Again, I've lost all concept of time. Great character, really fun read. I think this character that he's brought on board, and I don't know if he's used him anywhere else or what, but fantastic. Just really, really solid writing, really interesting character. Really, really solid dude, OOC, from the conversations I've ever had with him. One of those guys who writes to have fun, is willing to do whatever is necessary to help the Fed. Just wants to be there and just be part of the community and just have a good time. And it's always great when you can get those people that are just there just for the fun and just to write. But yeah, Isaiah King is, he has a TV title reign under his belt. And this could potentially be the next step up for him. And I absolutely think he's a guy who could find himself in the uni title picture, by the end of this year.
And Goth, I mean, he's turned heads in Sin City for years, and it now being able to step out and perform his skills on in different platforms and find success. It's always good to see. He's a legend in Sin City. Speak his name and some Red Seas part in some areas of the locker room. And to see that he's climbing that ladder, even in the XWF, it's good. And I think he came in a cycle or two ago, like 4 months at max, right?
Around for a little bit. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how long he's been around for a little bit, for sure. And he does some really great work. I think he's had to tweak his work a little bit here because how we judge grade is not exactly the same as SCW, and we do have word limits. And I don't believe SCW does, or if they do, I think they're a little higher than ours.
They're 7K, 5K during, I guess their Monday shows are 5K. Their pay-per-views are 7K.
Yeah, so significantly different. And it is not easy, to go from writing with that kind of length allowed to what we have now. But I think he's done a really good job of kind of changing how he does things. He's a great read. I enjoy his stuff, and I hope he sticks around.
I know that we were just talking, and we're not supposed to be recapping or previewing your entire pay-per-view, but I do want to talk about your championship matches before we move forward. You got Ned K. I lucked my way into a match, not thinking that it was going to be a thing. Ned's defending the TV strap against me, and I know that you said, and of course I've had conversations with Ned, that he's been looking for this for a while. So I hope that my piece didn't disappoint, but that was written under duress. And we're going to see what I can do with number 2. But shout out to Ned. I'm looking forward to making this happen, and we can circle back around either way when there's not a traumatic experience ongoing in life.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has said, privately to me, and I'm sure to you, that this is a match. I guess you guys had faced each other a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I think he walked out of it feeling like maybe he didn't have his best stuff. And so he wanted another crack at you. And now he's getting it. And I think your work is as good, if not better now than it was then, in my opinion. I think you were able to refine some of the areas where, I don't want to say you struggled, but maybe some of the areas that needed a little bit of tweaking. And I think Ned has also gotten better over the year since he's been back. So I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's awesome because it'll kind of lead into and is part of the larger Saga CCPE program that we're all going to be working on. And I think, we have some really fun ideas that we'd like to incorporate over the next several weeks and months here in WGWF, and ideally one other Fed if we can make it work. But I think this match is going to be a really cool part of that.
Anything else out there? Like, I don't have the card pulled up. That's how prepared I am.
I mean, the only other real, I mean, I don't want to say the only other real match because, again, they're top to bottom. It's really cool. I mean, I'm excited for the tag title match, Charlie Nichols and Dolly Waters, which is a really odd pairing.
Did they just pick those straps up?
They did. They did. So they are the current tag champs in XWF. They're facing the Extreme Alliance, which is Michael Graves and Barney Green, which is going to be, I'm looking forward to reading their work because that should be fun. And they're also taking on Sarah Lachlan and Angie Vaughn, two fantastic writers. Lachlan was a former Universal champion, and Angie Vaughn was a previous tag champion. And the handler handles other characters in the Fed and has had a great success with them. So, I mean, they're a talented writer. All in all, I think it should be a really fun match.
I just had a mini mark out moment when you said Sarah Lachlan.
Yep, she's back.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, again, all the matches I'm looking forward to. Tommy Wish versus Ruby Extreme title should be fun. Dionysus and Blondie, who are both new to the Fed, they're taking on Jerry Vaden and Monty Oswald. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. John Madison Jr., Jackie O'Lantern, fantastic. Ringmaster Jim Jimson, John Grayson, who's a new character as well, and Marf in our opening match. And I feel like you forgot one. Oh yeah, Rion Keto versus Mad Dog Mark Wright. And Mark is new to the Fed, but is a writer that's been in several other Feds before. DCWA, OCW, TPW. Fantastic writer. And I have really, really enjoyed this character's work specifically. I hope they stick around because there is so much that I could see happening with this character. Like, as I read their work, I'm like, oh my God, I personally have so many ideas of where I would love to see this character go. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they develop this character further.
It looks like it's going to be a stellar evening to start things off with for XW. Fuck, what else is going on out there? I think all gears are also shifting towards DPI, which is we're in cycle for right now, actually.
So the DPI 2 role playing has started for that. I believe the deadline for that is sometime in February. I don't remember off the top of my head. I can go to the board and look. But that's, fantastic event. A lot of really great matches. I've been reading some of the role plays as they've been coming in, and they've been fantastic, which is unsurprising. I know Denzel has put a ton of work into this show, much like he did last year. And I think so far I've been impressed with what I've read. I think things are shaping up well and are coming together for him. And I hope that it goes as well as last year's did, if not better.
Big time attractions there. I think Splat's got Splat or Five Boroughs has got night one. Who's night two? Corey Black and Keto are they hooking up night two in the main event?
Yeah. So night one we have the IG tag team title match, which is Splat. It's the intergalactic tag title match, I believe is what it is. What other big matches do we have on that? Jace Parker Davidson against Cashe, Lucy Hope versus Casanova English. The Five Boroughs Championship is on night one. Tyler Truex versus Casey Holiday. The multi-universal championship for Splat is that night as well. It's Haley Fiend versus Crystal Caldwell. Night two, we got Raven versus Tara Phoenix, which is opening the card, which is awesome. Buster Glove, Lexi Gold, Serena Riot, Stacey Jones. Justin York versus Thaddeus Duke, which will be another good match. Vaughn versus Veronica Strader. Brandon Hendricks versus Jason Long. J-Mott and Cal X versus Dolly Water and a mystery partner, and I truly have no idea who that is. And yeah, Corey Black versus Rayon Keto is the main event for that night, for night two. Night three is you got Paige and Griff Hawkins in that dog collar match to open that show up, so that'll be cool. Mike Bishop versus Emmanuel, Flynn versus Tatiana Jolie, Larry Tact versus Amber Bain Ryan. A 4-on-4 Falls Count Anywhere match. Epitome versus Misfit Mafia. I'm unfamiliar with either of those, but I'm looking forward to that. And then match 6 is the TIA Women's Championship 5-star match. All 5 women start in the ring at the same time. Each is assigned 2 different targets to eliminate. Sounds kind of interesting. Zira Ivory, Selena Frost, Brittany Helms, Crystal Hilton Zudnich. I think I probably butchered that. Molly Hatchet are the 5 competitors. That, and then the main event is Sebastian Everett Bryce versus Sean Warstein.
1 year in the making. They were supposed to hook it up last year at the inaugural, and it didn't happen. So, shout out to everybody taking part on that card because it's a who's who of the industry in the game right now. One thing that I like about the super shows is how it can all change at the drop of a dime. You come out and have a couple of really good shows on these platforms, and you start building your credibility and your reputation. It's huge, I think, for the game right now.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this go, because there's a, I mean, as I just read this card, there's a lot of really, really intriguing matchups and a lot of really, really great writers, and several that I am unfamiliar with. So I am very much looking forward to reading their work and getting to know those characters. But all in all, yeah, I'm excited.
Well, there's another topic that I want to touch base on real quick, and probably just to make sure that there's no issues. I, ladies and gentlemen of the XWF, I do not hate Theo Pryce.
Liar.
What you see on Twitter between Theo and myself is really, it's banter. It's back and forth. There's no ill will. There's no out of character hostility. There's no, what ill intent other than trying to tell a story. And I know that part of this angle and story, it's just kind of off the cuff, and I do want to acknowledge a post that I made on on your boards, and maybe it rubbed some people the wrong way, and I'm not apologizing for playing my character, but I just want you to understand that my job is to get you to hate me in character. That's my job, and Theo knows I play my job well. But we also have had conversations behind the scenes that, listen, this is where I'm going to go. If it's too far, you need to let me know. And thus far, that conversation hasn't been had. But I also know when I'm pushing limits with people personally. So I'm not going to try and do that anymore. And, I'll get my heat and I'll do what I need to do without trying to offend the roster, because that's definitely not the case. But I do want people to know that my job as a heel is to be hated. I'm not here to be liked. And it's a character. But I do want to clear that air just in case there were some people out there with some bitter feelings, because I know I got a couple of messages.
Just one or two. But yeah, I mean, it was a post that I think as I had said to you, like, you and I, when you made that post, you and I have been going back and forth on Twitter all day. So like, I knew the context of what spawned that. And to me, that post made sense. I got it. For those who didn't know or weren't paying attention, I could see how that post could come off as blurring the lines, and I could see how it could frustrate folks, but didn't break any rules. You went at it hard. You did what your character's job is to do. And it made sense for Chris Page, to attack Theo and the XWF and kind of his administrative role within the Fed, as a booker, et cetera, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it worked. People got upset. So in that regard, it worked. But I also understand what you're saying. And, the goal here is not to piss people off. We want to just have fun and do our thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's where it's at. And I figured I would just touch on it. I'm not going to deep dive it by any means, because what's no job is Sunday, and I'm on the card. So if there was real heat or real hostility or real bullshit or real life anything, I probably wouldn't be there. But I'm looking forward to moving forward from it and making some shit happen. I know that already my 2023 is shaping up pretty nicely. Just when I thought that I was going to be pulling back, it seems like it's full steam ahead. Um, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the challenges are out there. I do think that in XWF specifically, like there's some people that have my attention that I wouldn't mind trying to do something with.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're incapable of actually pulling back as many times as you've talked about it. I think you do it for a brief period, and then you find other opportunities and ways to get involved and to do things and have fun. And um, you're just one of those guys who likes to be busy, and God bless you for it, because I'm not that guy. But good for you. I definitely think that there's always new feds opening up, new people that kind of show up and force you to notice them, and you're the kind of guy that loves working with those kinds of people. So I'm sure that you're going to have more than one, talked about program throughout the year.
Well, you talk about new feds. So before we go, I want to give a shout out to a couple real quick. The Entity is a new fed that popped up a couple months ago. It's a monthly show. I think it's a 4,000 word limit with the RPs. I did a couple of things there. There's Tony Savage is over there. There's somebody that's been on my bucket list. So if anybody out there is looking for a once a month low stress, that I would give them a look. And then TPW reopened, relaunched at the beginning of the year. They've got Thunder Pro Wrestling for the listeners. So good to see that they're back as well. And I know that on the initial run of Thunder Pro, you were there as Drew, and I was there as Paige for a little bit, and we did some work there. So what are your thoughts about the new feds popping up or coming back?
I mean, I have quietly watched the Entity because I've seen them on Twitter, and it's just an interesting concept, and I've dug what I've seen of there. They've one show so far, or is it two?
Two.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I've enjoyed what I've seen there, and it's a place that I'm just going to keep watching just to see how things go. Thunder Pro. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see them back. I am not, competing there actively because Drew's kind of off doing whatever Drew does, sailing the seven seas or God knows what else.
Whatever he's doing, he's drinking chocolate almond milk.
Goddamn right he is.
Just saying.
Best stuff on earth. But yeah, I mean, so I'm, friends with the guy who runs CPW, and I'm excited to see what he does this time around because I think he always has some really good ideas and, loves doing the work. And, TPW was a lot of fun the first time around, and I was bummed that it did not last. So I'm excited to see that it's back. And I'm hopeful that, he can kind of run it the way he sees, and I hope it's successful. I don't know what his plans are, if he wants it to be, kind of a small fed, or if he wants to expand it into something bigger. I don't really know there, but it's got some really fun, solid names on the roster right now, between you and guys like Vaughn and Buster. The Movados are there. Who else? He's got some solid. There's some solid talent.
Chloe came back. Johnny C. And there's several a lot of talented writers there, and that's at the lower limit too, man. I think he changed it from 2,000 to 2,500, I believe, per piece. So again, low stress.
Yeah. I think it's a place that I hope people give a look to if they're looking for something on the smaller side in terms of fed size. Because I can promise you, as someone who was there the first time around, it was a good time. And, Terry does a great job of running his fed. And, I have nothing but high praise for him and TPW.
It's going to be an interesting 2023, I think. Oh, shit. March Madness. As far as XWF is concerned, I saw the tweet go out about looking for 32. How close are you to that number? Are we getting closer?
So as of this morning, we hit number 32.
Sweet.
Yeah. So this is going to be our biggest March Madness to date. I think last year we had like 8. I think the most we've had, I don't think it was 16. It might have been like 20, something like that. But this one's going to be 32. So we're going to have 3. Let me think. Yeah, so we're going to have 3 warfares in between Snow Job and March Madness. So the very first warfare is when we start the tournament. So that by the time we get to the actual March Madness pay-per-view, we'll have 2 matches from the tournament. We'll have the Final 4 and then the finals. We are going to do a draw, I think like a live draw or recorded draw, whatever you want to call it. At some point, I need to talk to Lane and his podcast folk and see how they want to do it and when they want to do it. There are some mystery entrants who will not be revealed until the Snow Job pay-per-view. So we have to, air that show first before we put the video out there and book that first tournament show. But yeah, I'm excited. We don't often post on Twitter trying to get people from outside the Fed. Not for any particular reason. We usually have enough people to do the events that we want to. But we did it this time, and I think we got, like maybe 2 or 3 people to sign up and give it a try. I want to say maybe 3. We've got a couple of the brand new folks that are going to try out. We've got a couple people that are making a return to give it a shot. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I mean, it's going to be big. 32 entrants means what? 16 people for that initial card. So that's going to be a big ass warfare, and that's probably going to be the entire card is just those matches. So I'm excited and also somewhat, reticent because that's a lot of work and that's a lot of kind of planning and figuring out. But yeah, I'm excited for this. This is going to be a really, really big March Madness. And I hope that as a Fed, we can put out a product that people are excited about, and all the lead-in shows to it. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to do it because I think it was an ambitious ask, but people came through and I'm excited.
Well, you're preaching to the choir when it comes to massive fucking tournaments. Yeah. No, I get it. 32 people. Yeah, it is going to be a 16-match card on your comeback. The only piece of advice I can give you and the writing staff is as soon as you know what you're booking, start pre-writing. Start getting it done. Start pre-writing those matches out. Word cap those bitches at 1,300 and call it a day. Because it's going to be a massive, massive card and a lot of content to try and digest.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's excellent advice. We are definitely going to have to scale back the size of our matches at least for the initial one, and otherwise it's gonna take forever, and that just holds up booking the next show and etc. And we don't want to do that. So yeah, I think that's great advice and one I'm going to try and implement as best as possible.
Made it easy for me. That I don't envy that initial card, but it does get easier from there. And then, I think if you address it that way, like you just did, like, listen, this is where you're at, because I think that's what I had to do. Like, this is what you're getting in round 1, guys. And as the rounds progress, the more I'll be able to put the time in and give better results and better matches. But nobody gets squashed, and 1,200 words is a quick read, and it's more than a recap, and you throw in some commentary, you're fucking at 1,500 before you know it. Easy peasy. Out the door. Next.
Well, I mean, if you're bored and you're looking for something to do, feel free to write as many matches as you want. I know
what's coming.
I know you got your own stuff to do.
You got to hit me up on the back end. Figure out what you can cover, what you guys have covered, because I do know that's going to be a challenge to do, and I'll see what I can do. Yeah. What else, man? I don't know if that there's anything else to dive into, at least for today. I mean, I know that.
Yeah, I do want to mention, the Eagles won, the Cowboys lost, so at least for the next 7 days, I'm pretty excited. I expect that the tears of Cowboys fans everywhere is going to fuel me for this week. As the Eagles have a tough matchup against the Niners coming up.
How to speak San Franciscan. Well, on my side of the coin, it's pretty simple. I do know what I can talk about because we talked to XWF. I'm just going to throw a little WGWF stuff out there. We came off of the West Coast Rumble, the beginning of the month. Peter Vaughn, world's champion. Mark Flynn was in the final three. We've had a program. We're going into Monday Night Brawl next week. We're in the midst of an Intercontinental Championship tournament. We got Cholo in the main event, taking on the epitome Mike Andrews. I think that's his name. Probably just butchered his fucking name. And got Mike Mason tangling with. God damn. I'm gonna have to pull my own fucking card up because I can't remember shit right now. It's okay. We're not perfect, and we're gonna keep this in. There we go. Samantha Vox and Mike Mason in an opening round. Tag titles are going to be on the line with the show stealers, Todrick Tabar Ramsey and Austin Ramsey taking on Zyra Ivory and Emily Sims. You've got your main event's Cholo, and I did botch his name. It's the epitome Mike Angelo in the main event. Elsewhere on the card, John Cable and Damage will hook it up. And the number one contender, Martha Dragon Cross, is going to take on Goth. So some cross-promotional talents, if you will. And that's one thing I will say that I think I enjoy is seeing that a lot of my guys are in the XWF and are successful there, and they're successful here. And it just speaks volumes on the talent, ability, and the writing ability of all these cats.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a solid card, top to bottom, and I think WGWF has done a really great job of integrating talent from multiple places and kind of giving them something to do, and storylines to be involved in. I think your writing limits allow for people to add another Fed to be in if they're already in others, and if not, and if they want to make it their sole focus, they can do that too. But I mean, so far, I think results have been solid. People seem to be really excited about the reboot, and I think that's credit to you and the job that you and your staff, which I guess is just Raven, are doing.
Yeah, for the most part. Tim with TIA Sauce Boss is doing some graphic work. Cable does some graphic work, but writing wise and creative wise, yeah, it's Raven. He and I are kind of mulling everything over and going back and forth on shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great so far.
We are on the road to our WrestleMania, Wrestle Wars, the end of March, so it should be a pretty loaded lineup. I can tell you that the main event's already been decided. It's Peter Vaughn defending against Mark Cross. If you haven't read Mark's work, you need to cruise over to the boards and take a look at his West Coast Rumble piece. I'd be curious to get your take on it. Because you're a big story guy, and I thought that he nailed character development and nailed everything that he was trying to do.
Yeah, he's a solid writer. I was, introduced to his stuff recently. Just reading some of the stuff on your boards, and I would agree, he's really good, and I think he is somebody that matches up well with Vaughn.
I have a vested interest in that because this will be a first time ever for those two cats, and I'm intentionally going to keep them apart until then. So I don't want any material burnt. I want them to bring their best, and it's going to be a test, no doubt, for all involved. It's good shit across the board, man. It's been a therapeutic program for me to be able to sit down and just bullshit with you for an hour or so.
Yeah, I think we do good work when we don't try and force it and just kind of shoot the shit and, off the cuff. And there's always something to talk about. It's just making sure we kind of hit the high points.
Yeah, stay away from the drama.
Yeah, amen.
No fun at all.
No.
Well, listen, you got anything you want to say to the peeps?
Not really. I think 2023 has started off well, and I'm excited to see where things go over the course of the next couple months, and what all of our different feds are able to do, and what the different super shows put together, and I'm curious to see what new feds spawn up or new ideas, new programs, and World Series of Wrestling too, how that comes about, and what Tim is able to come up with, and what kind of cool ideas he's able to put together for this next one.
I know that there's a lot of shows that are going to be coming up over the next couple months, Super Show wise. So I think it's safe to say that we've got plenty of material for our little program here. I always enjoy it. It's fun to sit down with you and kind of just chat about the happenings. I am looking forward to DPI, obviously, and you need to tell Lane I'm still waiting on that podcast invite.
I will absolutely tell him that.
Yeah, tell him I said I'm still waiting. Um, no, in all seriousness, this is fun, guys. We appreciate you listening. Let's see. How can I? No, here's how I'll sign this one off. This is an XWFM 99.9 production, as well as a CCP Podcasting Productions. For Theo Pryce, I'm Chris Page. We'll see you next month.
Sounds great. Thank you.